Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of the MyMuddlings podcast. Today is the 28th of November 2016, I believe, and it's a lovely, sunny, warm day here in Adelaide, South Australia, where I live and where I'm coming to you from. And I'd like to welcome new and returning viewers to my podcast. I'm really glad that you could spend some time with me. I will let you know quickly that I do have the front door open. It is too nice a day to not have the breeze coming in, so hopefully there won't be too much street noise and things like that. I also have Granger in the room, but hopefully he won't bother me. He's been in the room a couple times before. Only one time has he bothered me, so hopefully he'll be all good where he is. So, what can I talk to you about today? I don't have a great deal because I've been really monogamous actually with my projects. So, I do have a couple of finished objects and I have some works in progress. So, that's my knitting I'll be talking about. And before I start, I would just like to reach out or say hi to all of the people who reached out to me after last week's podcast. Where I spoke a little bit about, the mental health challenges that I deal with every day, and some very lovely people reached out and said that they suffer from similar things. So, and for me to know that I'm not alone, which was really, really lovely, and I really thank you for all the virtual hugs and thoughts and good wishes that I got sent. And that's part of the reason why I do talk about the issues that I have, so that if anybody who is having trouble discussing their depression or anxiety with others, for them not to feel alone. So even if they're not comfortable talking about it themselves, if they at least see that there are other people who are suffering from it and are able to maintain some semblance of a normal happy life, I hope that it works as a bit of an encouragement to people who maybe are suffering. So yes, thank you to everybody. It was very lovely to hear from you, and to, some of you shared small amounts of your experience, and I feel really privileged that you chose to share those experiences with me. So thank you. I'll get on to my finished objects now. I'm realising that I'm speaking a little bit slowly and I'm a little bit raspy. I actually think I'm getting a sore throat. My husband has been sick for the last week, so please bear with me, and I apologise if I am a little bit scratchy. But anyway, let's go on with our my finished objects. The first one I can tell you about is my vanilla spice socks, and I think I started these a week or so ago, and they are now finished. And these are some socks that I have knit for a friend of mine for a Christmas present. And these are knit out of Knit Cozy Silky Sock, which is 55% BFL, 45% silk. And this is her orange, Starbucks Orange Spice Iced Coffee colourway. And I don't actually believe that, I think her name was Morgan, is dyeing anymore, so you probably won't be able to get a hold of any of her yarns. This one I got as part of a coffee time club, I think it was called, back in 2013, I think it was. So it's a fair while ago. It's been in my stash a long time. So yeah, the socks are done. So that's another project out of the way. I am really hammering my projects because I do have quite a lot to get finished before the 11th of December, which is the day of my sister's baby sprinkles. So I've got quite a few things to finish before then. So that's those. Let me just grab my notes and I can tell you how many yards. So I use 280 yards in these socks, and they're just my regular vanilla sock with a fish lips kiss heel. You can see that there. So these were just knit on my higher 2.5mm 9-inch circulars, and I have a pair of socks out of the way, so that's really, really good. I'm really glad about that. So that's those. The other finished object that I have is one, I think I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, and that was the Flax Sweater that I was knitting for my soon-to-be-born niece. So and this is it here. And I've had a lot of very nice comments on Instagram about this one. I'm not mad about the pooling. Preciosa is what I knit this in, so that's Knit Picks Preciosa, which is a worsted weight single ply yarn, and it's very soft and it's very squishy and it's really lovely, but as it is a tonal, you can see that it has pulled and zigzagged across the front. The sleeves are actually quite nice. I actually quite like the distribution of the colours on the sleeves, but the body was just like, the only way I can avoid that would be to alternate skeins, and although I did have a couple of skeins, it's a baby sweater. It's maybe going to be worn for a couple of months at the most, 2 or 3 months. I mean, this is a 6 to 12 month size, so potentially it could be longer than that, but I mean, a cold season only lasts 3 to 5 months, so yes, ain't nobody got time to alternate skeins for a baby sweater that's going to be worn a couple of months. So, so we'll just have to deal with the pooling across the front. It's not too bad. Shara from the What Shara Made podcast. Hi Shara, she was really sweet, and she says that she really loves the pooling. She called it magic, I think. So, so some people like it, some people don't. I'm not huge on it, but it's a lovely little sweater. I'm really pleased with it. I basically knocked this out over the weekend. I did one arm on Saturday and other arm yesterday, and yeah, I finished the body Friday, I think. So yeah, that's all done. It's another gift out of the way for my sister and my little niece. So that's my 2 finished objects, which were both deadline knits, obviously, because this will be needed for her December 11th sprinkle, and the socks I need for the 8th of December. So those are both done, which is really great. And for that I used 243 yards of the Preciosa for that sweater. And also the colourway is Boysenberry, if you were interested. So I can get on to some whips now, I think, and I have 2 that I have been working on. I haven't done a ton on one of them, and that was the O Tenenbaum socks that I'm doing for my podcaster sock swap, festive sock swap with the Eva Christie Knits Ravelry group. So that was the first one. I believe I showed you guys that one last week. And so far I'm nearly finished the, what do you call it, the leg, and sort of getting down to almost where I will start the heel. So that's not too far off. It's probably just under half finished. So yeah, once I can work on that a little bit more, I'll probably be working on it through the week, interspersed with my other project. That should be done pretty quickly, because I do want to get these in the post, because they do have to go internationally. So that's what I've got done of that one, and that is being knit from my own colourway, my Christmas colourway. I've got a little bit of yarn bath hanging at the bottom of my ball here, and this is my Bah Humbug colourway, which is like a semi-solid tonal grey with red, green and yellow speckles through that one. So yes, that's one of my whips, and that's going really well. I actually really like that sock pattern. I know I did say that I was a bit iffy about paying for it, but I really like the pattern. It's really good. There's some really challenging stitches in it, so it kind of keeps you on your toes. I don't tend to like knitting that at night while Simon and I are watching some TV, because I just have to keep looking down at my chart. So yeah, I try and keep that for when he's not home, or when I've just got the radio on, or some, you know, generic rubbish on the TV. I've actually taken lately to knitting those more complex patterns while watching, which is a very guilty pleasure of mine. And hopefully, no, you're not going to think worse of me, but I love Ghost Adventures, and I have all of it, I think. So I'm rewatching it from the first season. I just love Ghost Adventures. It cracks me up. Zach Bagans is hilarious. I am one of those people who wants to believe, but I don't know if I do, because I've never had an experience myself. Not that I want an experience myself, but yes, so that's been my thing that I've been putting on the TV and just working on some projects, because I don't really need to pay that much attention. I mean, most of the time the screen is like black or grey with that, you know, that tinge of night vision green. Anyway, complete tangent. I forgot a work in progress, so if my framing is slightly different, that's because I've recorded this later and I've slipped it into the podcast. But the other project that I've been working on is my Dogwood Blanket, which is for my niece. So this is how far I've got. This is my second square, and this is out of my own hand spun, which I dyed myself, which is from Bendigo Woolen Mills Ready Spin. And this is, yeah, like I said, this is my second of 4 squares. I'm probably at least 2/3 through this one. Finished off the first ball of my hand spun there, so I've used up 1 whole skein of the hand spun and I have 4 altogether. So yeah, that's how far I'm along. And that's the Dogwood Blanket by Tin Can Knits. That's pretty much all the knitting that I've been working on. I haven't done any crochet. I haven't worked on my little cat or on my Amma crochet top. Not for a little while. Although I do actually, you guys are going to cringe because I've talked about this so many times. I was looking through Instagram this morning, of course, the enabler Instagram, and I saw Robin from Sit and Spins. She's doing a crochet sock yarn blanket, and I know I've spoken before about doing the memory blanket and the beekeeper's quilt, and I was doing those little hexagons for another type of blanket, all of which I have kind of just lost interest in. They all seem too hard to me, even though they're not hard, but it's just like, you know, they're tiles or they need to be seamed, or it's just all too hard. But anyway, I was watching, checking out Instagram this morning, and I saw Robin's post, and she's actually doing, it's a crochet blanket, but it's crocheted diagonally, and I actually, I can see it right here, I crocheted Simon a blanket that is in the same, it almost ends up like a basket weave. So as you work the blanket, you go from a corner, so you start with sort of 1 stitch and then you work each side, and it eventually creates like this stepped diagonal blanket. And pretty much looking at Robin's, you just start until the yarn runs out and then start the next colour and keep going till the yarn runs out, and it's kind of like, that is perfect, because that's the thing that bugs me with those little tessellated and seamed patterns, is that you use a little bit of the yarn and then you've still got some left and you put it away because you finished the section that you're doing. So I saw that and I kind of feel like I want to pull apart all my other blankets, group all of the same yarn together and do one of these crochet blankets, because I know crochet eats up yarn a lot quicker than knitting does, and like I said, I can just keep going until the yarn is actually used, which is a very attractive prospect to me, to actually get the scraps out of my stash. So I'm thinking I might be pulling apart all of those other blankets that I have started and just doing a very simple diagonal crochet blanket, because it looked really cool, because obviously it's knit crocheted on the diagonal, so you'll have, you know, instead of being up and down stripes, they'll stripe across the rectangle. So I think that might be some crochet that I might be starting and I will be sure to keep you updated on that. Anyway, completely another tangent. Hey tangents! Jules is having a tangent day. Probably that sore throat creeping up into my brain. Anyway, let's go on to some spinning. I finally, guys, I finished it. I finished my unpredictable. I can't even do a, you know, angelic sing today because of my throat. But this is done. It is done. And I don't know why, but this took me so long. I was so fed up with this. And I really don't know why. Because the fibre was lovely and soft, and it's the colours that I love. The blues and the purples and the pinks. I mean, they're all my colours. It's perfect for me, you know. But it just took me forever to get this done. And then I think it was about Thursday night, I think it was. I had maybe a fifth of my braid left. And I said to Simon, I want this done before I go to bed tonight. The spinning had to be done. So I did that, and then I chain plied it on Friday, and this is the resulting yarn. And it was quite, I spun it fairly firmly. When this came off the wheel, it wasn't mega like twisted. I saw Rachel from Welford Pearls the other day showed some sock yarn that she had spun for, I think it was her husband's socks, and once it came off the wheel, it was all like curly cube pigtail, and she could, you know, like, it was so springy. But this wasn't like that, but it had probably a couple, 2-3 twists on it. So when you held the loop, it twisted back on itself 2 or 3 times. So it was fairly well twisted, and it looked really ugly in the skein when I pulled it off. But I gave it a bath, and it relaxed out, and it's just beautiful. It's so soft. It's approximately, I think, it kind of, there are bits, because obviously being chain ply, if you have a slightly thicker bit, it gets tripled as you go through. So there's sections that are probably a fingering weight through to a light DK. So probably a sportish, we'll say it's a sportish weight, and I think I got 282 yards on that one. So I'm really pleased with that. I don't know what it's going to be yet. It will be, obviously, because it's the chain ply, it'll be, it'll stripe when I knit it. So yeah, I don't know what that's going to be. I did think maybe some socks, but although it was fairly tightly spun, it probably isn't quite tight enough for socks. Plus it's that chain ply, and I don't really trust a chain ply sock yarn, to be honest, because if one of those pliers breaks, it's going to unravel the whole thing rather than just being a small break in one of the pliers. So my foot is getting dead. Just let me rearrange my position. There we go. So there we go. That's my Owl About yarn Falklands Merino. That's what that was, and that was the unpredictable colourway. So I'm pretty sure last time I checked she had some of this still in her store. So if you do like this, which is, it's just beautiful, so soft and so squishy, definitely head over and check out her shop. So that's my spinning. Now pretty much that's all I have to talk about projects. I thought I would do a quick update about, I mentioned last week about potentially doing a stash down knit along next year to run the whole year. I did have a few people say, hey, that's a great idea, I'd be in on that, so which is great. So that might be my first ever knit along, I think, and we're going to go big and have a year-long one. So I spoke about last week about how I have so much yardage in my stash and how I'd like to get it down. So I'm trying to nut out the details, because I'm very meticulous with tracking my stash in Ravelry, so I know exactly when I bought the yarn. I can figure out how long it's been there. And I was sort of thinking, do I do a point system where, if, you know, depending on how long it's been in your stash, you get a certain number of points per yard that you knit out. But one of the people that responded and let me know that they would be interested in this knit along, or craft along, however, whatever you want to do with your yarns, she doesn't really track her stash on Ravelry, so I was thinking it might be hard for some people to know exactly how old their stash is to figure out how many points per yard that they get. So yeah, I'm trying to think about it. Potentially I might just do across the board, it's just a certain number of points per yardage that goes out, or maybe I'll just count yardage that goes out. Because I was thinking of doing little things where you can get bonus yardage, like So potentially if you use up the entire skein and it's completely out of your stash, that you then get a bonus points or bonus yardage to your finished object. And then over the year you have one post in Ravelry where you just tote up all of your yardage that you've gotten out of your stash. We will have to have a rule, like if it's new yarn in 2017, maybe that doesn't count. But anything prior to, you know, the 1st of January 2017 is fair game to be used in your stash down. So yeah, if you have any ideas, I would love to hear them. Please head on over to the thread on the Ravelry board for episode 16 and let me know if you have some ideas. I'd be really interested to hear what they are. Also, I was thinking of doing, as part of the knit along, I would have a finished objects thread, which is where you would tote up all of your yardage, and I would also have a chatter thread, and I was thinking that I would have monthly prizes for every month, so it'd be a random draw of the chatter posts for that month, I think I would do, rather than doing the whole thread. So for me to cover those prizes might be a little bit costly, so I would like to welcome anybody who would like to donate. If you're a designer, if you'd like to put your hand up and say, hey look, I'll donate a pattern or two for you to give away. Probably not anybody who makes yarn, because that's the whole point, is getting the stash down. Although I probably will have yarn in, I will provide the end of year prize for the person. I'll have 2 prizes I think at the end of the year, one for whoever got the most yardage out of their stash, and then one for just a random choosing. So I'll provide the end of year prizes and some of the prizes through the year. But yeah, if anyone would be happy to help me out with things like project bags, stitch markers, like I said, patterns. If you're a pattern designer, I'd be really happy to hear from you. And you can email me at juliannec@mymuddlings.com if you'd like to help out. I'd love to hear from you. So that's my big knit along news for next year, so you guys can start thinking, and if you want to join in and work out what you want to work on, and you know, we can start. I might open a chatter thread now, so I'll have a pre-knit along chatter thread where people can jump in and say what you're going to knit, or maybe suggest patterns that are good for one skein projects and things like that. So I will open that up. It should be open by the time this podcast goes live. So yes, definitely get in touch if you have some suggestions for you know, points or yardage or whatever, or if you want to help me to sponsor the knit along. Oh my gosh, I've been talking too long. Anyway, there's just one more thing that I want to talk about. I don't have a shop update this week. It's just gotten away from me a little bit. I was hoping to get some bags sewn and some yarn dyed this week, but it's actually Simon's birthday on Friday, and Granger's birthday. They both share a birthday on Friday. So we're having a party on Saturday night. So I've got a lot to do around the house. I'm going to have to clean the house, mow the lawns, prepare food and things like that this week. So I don't think I'm actually going to get round to getting anything for the shop. But just quickly, I do have a code active now until the 30th of November, which is good for 30% off your purchase in the store, except for the Christmas kits. So yes, that will be running until Wednesday. And then I'm thinking that I'm either going to do a 12 days of Christmas promotion where every day will be a new type of discount, or I might even do an advent calendar sort of discount offers, different offers every day for the, you know, from the 1st to the 24th of December. So I'm still thinking about it. The 1st of December is Thursday, so I probably should really figure that out. But yes, if there's anything that you've been wanting, you've had your eye on in my shop, if it's the Christmas kits which aren't eligible for the discount, there will be some specials coming up on those. So if you were interested in getting one of those, just keep an eye out. Check my Instagram and my Facebook page, and I'll have the details there. But until then, I think that's all I really have to talk about. I do have a survey open at the moment, trying to get some information to help me plan 2017 in the MyMuddlings Etsy shop. I will put a link in the show notes to the survey address, and if you could help me out, it's a very short survey. It's only 10 questions. It'll probably take you 30 seconds. A minute at the most. If you could help me out by filling in that survey, whether you're a customer or not. I'm just trying to get some feedback to help me plan and yeah, adjust the store and try and have more of what people are after in there. So if you could fill that in, that would be really awesome. I'd really appreciate it. But until next week, I would like to wish you happy crafting. I hope you all have a lovely week, and I will see you next Monday. Have a great week, guys. Bye.